Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the May federal milk marketing data that the USDA released this last week. And normally these come out across several days, but they actually released them all on Friday, which was a very nice thing. Overall, the statistical uniform price has increased by 67 cents and they were up to 1978. Now, there was continued class 4 depooling, and month over month for the pooled milk, it was down, and I think actual production was probably down a little bit, and fat came down about 9 ticks. Our highest statistical uniform price was down here in Florida at 25.45, and our lowest was Minnesota, Wisconsin at 17.61. And as I said, they came up 67 cents overall. If we look at how these actually change, it's going to be a combination of how each of the different classes change, as well as the pooling and depooling. And there was a $2 difference between class 3 and class 4, so we could expect class 4 to come out and class 3 to go in. Our greatest change was $1.41 down here in Florida. Again, class 1 came up by about $1.49, so all of these southeast areas are expected to be fairly strong. Northeast was up just over $1, and Minnesota, Wisconsin, which is largely class 3, only came up 18 cents because class 3 only came up 10 cents. I put in a new graph, which is the percent of the milk in the pool. This last point is based on my predictions, so again, a little bit of wiggle room in that one, but it clearly shows that pooled milk is down. Now, historically, we don't hardly get above 70%. Occasionally, we'll hit 75% because there's a large swath of the country that's not in the pool. Idaho would be an example of that. So we're down to about 62, 63% of the milk made in the country in the pool. Now, as far as depooling, we're kind of expecting that to go away here for a few months. We expect about a 75-cent difference in order to depool. October right now, class 3 is higher than class 4. The class 3 market's off about 15 cents today, but that still is holding up. That class 4 is a little bit lower in those 2 months. If we look at how daily milk production changed, overall there was a 3.6% loss, and again, part of that was depooling. If we look at the Northeast, it was 99%. Florida was 91%. So we're kind of done with the spring flush, except for maybe the Northwest, and Minnesota, Wisconsin was up 3%. Overall, class 1 utilization was 25.2% of the pooled milk. We'll plot all these out. So here's our total milk, came down a little bit. Class 3 was pretty much level, and then class 4 has been pretty much level. So there weren't any major changes in depooling this month. So my projection for May is going to be about 20.5 billion pounds of milk. If we get that, we're going to be up 2.5% year over year. There is a standard deviation associated with that, so it could be as high as 20.7 or as low as 20.4. Class 1 utilization as a percent was down about 3 ticks. It's always the highest in the southeast, and the lowest is always Minnesota, Wisconsin at 5.9. They're just very, very dominant class 3. Again, this whole area here is not in the federal order. If we plot out the class 3 that's in the order, I've set our maximum up here at 247.8 million pounds. And right now we're 92% of that. So we're at about 20,300,000. And that's on a per day basis. So we've got about 8% of the milk being depooled. If we look at the class 3 utilizations, it was the highest in Minnesota, Wisconsin. And we look at the changes, there were no significant changes. Arizona came up 5 ticks. Northwest came up about 3 ticks. Georgia came up about 4 ticks. So again, not any major changes here. Now, class 4 has been heavily depooled almost since 2020. Now, there's a couple times when it came back in, but you can see where we've been fairly low here. Now, the highest class 4 was in Arizona. The reality is it's in California, but that's all being depooled. And our biggest changes were pretty small at the 2.88 in order 5 here. Fat came down about 9 ticks. The highest was the Northwest. Now Texas was right on their heels at the 438, and even the Northeast was pretty strong at 436. Protein continues to be strong. The Northwest is 347, and Texas is 345. And the Northeast always takes the lowest. So that finishes up our statistical uniform prices. This week, we're going to have a global dairy trade on Tuesday, the advanced prices and national dairy sales report on Wednesday, and this is a 4-day week with all the markets being closed on Friday. Next week, we're going to get the milk production report, which will be the next milk market tidbit.